Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks to The Hungry Gamer is back with another list, and today I'm revisiting my top 10 dungeon crawl list. I'm revising this every 2 years, and last time I did it was August or September of 2023. It is now August of 2025, so it is time to revisit the list. Now, a couple disclaimers at the beginning. First of all, when I make lists, these are the least objective things that I do. There is no vibe of, well, if you like this thing, you might like it, and this is a cool mechanic. No, purely what are my favorites. Also, when I say dungeon crawl, I don't literally just mean games where you're crawling into a dungeon. I include adventure games, I include boss battlers, anything that kind of just has that story, adventure, discovering things, you're fighting things. That's kind of what I put into the dungeon crawl category, even though I know technically a boss battler is not necessarily a dungeon crawl, whatever. All that said, for me, that is my favorite type of game. Dungeon crawls, adventure games, boss battlers. I love it, love it, love it. So I bring them all together in one. And then the next thing I'm going to say is I finally had to make a decision. And I've decided moving forward for all the lists I do, if I don't own the game, it doesn't qualify. And that doesn't come up a ton in general with my dungeon crawls because I often play them more than once, but sometimes, due to size, a crawler has to leave the house, and if that happens, then it's no longer qualified to be on the list. So there are some games that have fallen off the list that did fall prey to they're simply too big for my limited space. So I want to start there. I'm going to start off with the games that fell off the list, whether that be they fell off of an honorable mention or they fell off of the actual top 10. So, falling off, first we have League of Dungeoneers, and that's one that fell off because both that and Dungeon Universalis, which were both kind of tied last time, are very large boxes. And at the end of the day, I had to make a choice of which one did I want to hold on to and which one did I want to keep, and I decided that the character creation and the combat system of Dungeon Universalis was a little more interesting to me than the character creation and combat system of League of Dungeoneers, even though the exploration of League of Dungeoneers is just brilliant, and I loved it. I had to make a choice, and I wound up keeping Dungeon Universalis, so League of Dungeoneers fell off the list. The next one that fell off the list was a little surprising to me because I really like it, and that is Tanaris Adventures. And that fell off the list simply because it was 3 really big boxes, and I just did not have the space for it. And I finished the campaign once, and I realized the odds of me playing this all the way through again soon are small. And because of that, I was blocking out all kinds of stuff that I was interested in playing, so it had to go. Luckily, I found someone that really wanted it, and they were happy to take it off my hands, so I don't feel too bad about it. Maybe one day I may shell out and get the standee version, which is a little bit smaller, and maybe I'll get a chance to play again, but really like the game, had to go. And then the last one suffered the same fate, and that is Hellboy. I stand by that is a fantastic one-off dungeon crawler, but I had a ton of it, and it took up an entire queue behind me, and so I just could not justify holding on to that for the occasional one-offs, and the people that I sometimes play dungeon crawls with, they didn't love it. And since they didn't love it, that meant other games are going to be coming to the table first, so even though I really enjoyed it, it had to go, though that's one that I would certainly play any day of the week if someone wanted to. So, those are the ones that have fallen off the list and why. And so, interestingly enough, none of them fell off because I wound up being disappointed with them or I got frustrated. Simply, space. From there, I want to kind of give a special mention here to Kenfire Chronicles, which is one that also left because of space. And this is one that, had I been making this list last year, there's a very good chance that Kenfire Chronicles would have actually been on the list. I really enjoyed Kenfire Chronicles a lot playing through. I finished the whole campaign, and Lena from Level Up Board Game Podcast and Navigator Elena was really interested in it, so I sent that off to her. So I no longer have it, but Kinfire Chronicles was one that I really enjoyed and definitely would have been in consideration if I still had it. Now, the second to last thing I talk about before I actually get into the honorable mentions there are 3 games that, in theory, are in consideration, but I just haven't played them. But I just haven't played them at all, or I have not played them enough to really feel like I know what they are all about. And so one of those was one that I thought was going to be on the list this year, but I just didn't get my act together and get enough of the stuff painted like I like to be able to play, and that is Warcrow Adventures. And this one's a little bit divisive. Some people really like it, some people really don't. There's not a ton of buzz around it, but when I previewed it, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very, very cool. I really love the initiative system, and all the way back to Aristia, I really like the dice kind of opposed combat system thing that you do. But I just didn't get enough of it played. I still have some minis sitting outside for months now that I just need to finish painting, and then I can maybe get into this one. So that's one of them. The next one was really, really hot when it first delivered, and I was very excited about it, and that is Fate Forge, Chronicles of Khan. And I think this is everything that I want in a dungeon crawl. I just haven't played it. I painted some of the heroes that I wanted to play, and it's just sitting right down here. I even went to a convention, and I bought the expansion because I was really confident I was going to like it, and I was really going to enjoy it, and someone had given me a copy of the core game, but I literally have not played it a single time, but it's one that I think I'm really going to love. And then the last one that should be in consideration, another one I spent a good chunk of change on, is Vagrant Song. That's a boss battler style game, and I love the aesthetic, the theme, the things that you're doing. And I played through about 3 or 4 missions with a group of people, and then they decided that they didn't love it enough to keep going. So I was like, okay, I'll reset it, I'll restart. And then there's a new campaign with a big box, and I backed that, and I got it. And I just literally have not played it since. And so I'm looking forward to trying it, but again, haven't played it enough to really consider it. So that concludes all the games that kind of fell off the list, and all the games that should, in theory, be in consideration next time, but of course, we all know what lots of stuff's going to be coming in. Now, moving into the meat of this, I'm going to start with my honorable mentions. And I have 3 honorable mentions this year. The first one remains from last time. That's Too Many Bones. I love Too Many Bones. It just doesn't quite fit my understanding of Dungeon Crawl. Even with my expanded Dungeon Crawl understanding, it's just such a tactical combat game. Even though a lot of boss battlers feel kind of tactical combat, this one just kind of lives in its own world. And so because of that, it's remaining an honorable mention for me. The next one was actually on both of my previous lists. And I finally realized that the reason it was on the list was just because of its place in my heart. And because it just was living in my heart so much, I decided to move it to an honorable mention. That is Galaxy Defenders. I still have all of it. It takes up a good chunk of space on my shelf. I managed to condense it to 2 boxes instead of 3, and it's a wonderful game. It's so much fun. It's the first dungeon crawl style game I ever played, and it has stuck with me. Really, really enjoy it. That said, I don't think it's as good as the other games on the list, but I will never get rid of it again. I say that I probably will at some point, but I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it again because I just enjoy it that much. But I don't think it stands up to a lot of the other games. It's a fantastic game. Wonderful game. I highly recommend everybody play it. But not in my top 10 anymore. And then the last honorable mention really is kind of number 11. And this is Nanolith. This is one that I spent a lot of time playing recently, trying to put it through its paces, and it's really fun. It is a very fun game. It's clever. It does some neat stuff with story and kind of upgrading your characters. Very, very cool. At the end of the day, what pushed it out for me is Cyberpunk's not really my jam. And it's not that I don't like Cyberpunk. It's that I don't really understand Cyberpunk. It's not a genre that I've really dug into before. So because of that, the story isn't grabbing me as much, and the aesthetics don't really grab me as much as other games, but it really is fun, and I'm definitely going to finish that campaign. And maybe next time around after I've finished it, it might jump its way on in. I'm enjoying it, I want to play more, but for now, honorable mention for Nanolith. Now that brings us to our top 10 dungeon crawl slash adventure game slash boss battlers. And starting at number 10 is one that was right around here last time, and I've mentioned it already, and that is Dungeon Universalis. This is one of the ultimate kind of sandbox games. There is a rule for everything in this game. In fact, there's so many rules in this game, and it so feels like an RPG game. As I play through, I often I'm going to ignore that. Nope, that's not an interesting thing to dig into for me. I don't really care about that level of inventory or this level of this. I'm just going to ignore that. And normally I would say that's a bad thing, but for this game, I really, really enjoy it. The character creation is very cool. It's very fun making these different kind of creatures come together and be heroes or whatever they're going to be. But I really, really like the combat system. It's very, very clean, very, very simple. You're just chucking 2 dice, and that's going to give you your result. You're going to add a few numbers here and there, and you compare it to whatever theirs is. And it's quick, it's clean, and it's fun. And this is one that I really had hoped I was going to dig back into this summer and play a lot more. It just didn't quite happen, but Dungeon Universalis is a very, very clever game. It does some very, very cool things. I actually put in a good chunk of change to get some acrylic tokens to represent bad guys so I can keep playing this game because I didn't love the standees that originally came with it. But I've spent a good amount of money kind of upgrading this. So really, really enjoy Dungeon Universalis. I think it's very clever and something that I foresee myself playing a lot of in the future. Coming to number 9. Now this one I believe fell a couple of slots, and that is not a judgment on the game. It's more of a judgment on kind of where my brain is at with all the other games on the list right now. And this is the first boss battler I'm going to talk about, and that is Adventure Tactics. And this game is just delightful. You're playing through this campaign and you're fighting about half the things, so really you play through a campaign twice before you get everything. But the real joy of this is the class leveling, the character creation. Every boss fight you do, you're going to level up and you get a new class. And you get this new class and then you have the right combination of classes and now you become an even different, cooler class. And with every class you're getting new, which come in the shape of cards. And these cards are in your hand, you get to play a few cards each turn and you do your thing. The boss is a different boss every time. You flip over a card, it tells you what it does. And mechanically, it's a pretty light, simple game. It's actually very, very easy to play. You chuck some dice, you take some damage, and you try to survive. And you get cool loot after every fight, and on you go. It's a really well done game. And the only real criticism I have about the game itself is I wish the terrain was a little bit more interesting. Be that blocking you from moving places, just like walls and stuff, or something a little more interesting like, fire, pits, and all that kind of stuff. But really good game. This is one I just recently finished a campaign for, and I will absolutely be playing the other campaigns and going back through it. I thought maybe when I took it back out, I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to finish this and be done. But no, I'm absolutely not. It's really, really good. I like it. Top tier boss battler game. Currently, you can only get it secondhand. I'm hoping that at some point it gets picked back up by a publisher for a reprint. I don't think the original publisher is still around. I might be wrong on that, but assuming that is accurate, I really hope it gets picked back up and we get some more content for it at some point. It's very, very fun. This brings me to number 8 on the list. Also, been on the list since last time. And this was actually my runner-up game of the year 2 years ago. This is Familiar Tales from Jerry Hawthorne and Plaid Hat Games. Just wonderful kind of deck build that you're doing, and it's card play as these familiars are trying to save the young baby princess and raise her through the years and kind of bring her back to her proper life. And as you go, the child might be rebellious depending on what you do, or it might be a little goody-goody two-shoes depending on what you do. And it's just a wonderful game. It's one that is currently slated as the next one for my occasional regular dungeon crawl group to actually play once we finish up the one that we're on right now, which I'm actually going to talk about later on in this list. Just love the game. It's just fabulous. Wonderful voice acting that you have in the app. I think it's actually a website, but just great, great, great story. All of that. Really, really enjoy it. That is Familiar Tales coming in at number 8. At number 7 is the newest game to my collection, and that is Aridia, The Paths We Dare Tread. And this is one that has the most opportunity to go up or down on this list because I'm maybe a third of the way through the game. This is a lot of hours. Production-wise, this is top, 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 top. Pre-painted minis. You can change the heads on the minis so you can have exactly the type of character that you want it to be. A whole bunch of hidden creatures that you're going to fight. It's like a little advent calendar where you have to open up to find out what's going to be in there. Really clever use of cards and what you're finding on the different map tiles. And there are a bazillion map tiles that you're kind of putting together, and sometimes you're laying the map tiles over on top of each other. The exploration in this game is just the best. Amazing exploration, and I've really, really been enjoying it, especially when you combine that with the very unique combat system. It has this weapon and directional combat system. Depending on your weapon, you're going to swing it a different way, and then it hits the bad guys, and the bad guys are little kind of paper dolls with little spots all over it, where as your weapon goes through, you're smacking those different spots and different things might happen. Very good, clean AI system. It's challenging in places, and it's just super, super unique, and I am real deep in it. It's got some very cool puzzles. The only knock that I have on this one is simply that it can be easy to miss things. There's so much hidden information, so many things. You're finding this little key, which is going to allow you to do this thing later on, but it might be 20 hours later that this thing comes up, and sometimes you can forget things and miss things, but I'm really, really enjoying it, and like I said, this one very well may go up the list next time. And of course, maybe it goes down the list if it just totally falls apart in Act 2 and Act 3. Next one on the list was on the list last time and the time before, and that is Madara. And I am coming close now to completing Act 1. And Act 2 and 3 are going to be coming to me in, I don't know, February, March, something like that. And hopefully, by the end of this year, will finish Act 1. This is a game that, like Dungeon Universalis before, is just super crunchy. There's rules for almost everything in this game, but unlike Dungeon Universalis in this one, I follow all the rules in this one. It's not so deep into it that you're thinking, why do I need a rule for this? It's just a very crunchy, mechanic-heavy game with some very cool character leveling and character growth. And to top it off, a really interesting story. I really am into the story. It's this huge, like 400-page storybook, and you'll be reading for 10 minutes in between each different scenario, longer if you're reading it out loud. And it's just fantastic. Again, it has a cool dice system, it has cool magic systems, and the ways you can level your characters up are also really, really clever. The only thing actually kind of that pulls it down a little for me is it's not thematically one of my favorites. It's an anime-style game in the fact that it's both modern, but you're also using swords, and you're also using guns, and kind of back and forth. And it's a weird mishmash for me, but the story's really interesting, and I really, really enjoy playing through the game. As it's been going, it's become a little bit unwieldy in the sense that the characters are getting so many powers and doing so many things. Just playing one, I'm like, what's going on? But in the recent update pack they put out, they have a way that you can kind of shrink that down and only play with 2 of the characters instead of playing with 4, even though they're all kind of present, and it really works well, and it's really got me hyped up again to keep playing through Madara. So Madara, number 6. And last thing about Madara is just recently they reached out and offered me a discount code. And so if you are interested in getting some Madara for yourself, and there's beyond just the core boxes, there's tons and tons and tons of stuff there that you can just pick up. You can get 10% off if you use the code HUNGRY. And again, there's a link down there in the description. You can just check that out. Number 5 was my original number 1 game, and that is Wander. And I'm just going to call it Wander because the one that I have is the Cult of Barnacle Bay, but we're waiting for Leclerc's Revenge to deliver. Hopefully that comes sometime soon. And this is the dungeon crawl that I have played the most. I completed the entire campaign 3 1/4 times or 3 1/3 times all the way through, and it is just the right level of silly and whimsical and dice chucking, and you get overpowered and you're doing cool things that I really enjoy. It has a little bit of kind of variance if you can go different directions for different stories, in the sense that you can do, every time you play, after each scenario, you have a couple different choices, and depending on where you go, you'll go somewhere else and do something different, a different type of fight. And it's just great. I really enjoy it. Just dice chucking and smashing. And the only kind of drawback for me is there's not a ton of scenarios that you're doing things other than just smash. But the boss fights are very fun. All of it is very, very clever, and I'm super excited for LeCluck's Revenge to eventually show up. And this one also has a very good chance to kind of go back up as Wander is kind of its own little beast that's going to be on the list. Instead of just Barnacle Bay, it'll also include LeCluck. That brings us to number 4. This is my next boss battler on the list, and this is Oathsworn. This game is epic. Amazing gameplay in this. The way that you're able to play 4 characters, the way they have companion modes where you still feel like the character's doing something very cool, the way that you're kind of growing your party strength in between each scenario, very interesting kind of world exploration that you're doing in between each scenario, and it's just really, really fun. And what makes it even better is the really well narrated story that you can listen to. You download the app, it's there, you can listen to it, or you can just read it, and really, really well done. It's one that I just keep going back to and sitting down and playing several games whenever I can. Currently, I have done 12 scenarios. I think there's 20 or 21 in the game. So I'm getting there, but I'm not there yet. And I've painted all the different characters. I was smart enough to get the standees version. Didn't get on the train, don't need all that, because the train isn't super interesting, like I mentioned earlier with Adventure Tactics. It's mostly kind of blocking stuff. There's not a ton of trains that's going to do anything other than kind of get in your way, which is okay. But this one is a nice contrast to Adventure Tactics, because while that is kind of light and whimsical, and you got a baby that you're saving and running around, this is like the Warhammer gritty, grim, dark world where everything is horrible and dark, and you're just trying to eke out survival, and you're moving from place to place. Really, really good game. The only kind of knock I have on this one is there's times, minor spoiler here, where you're moving from city to city and you're doing this kind of walk through kind of the forest. And that's not my favorite. You're kind of wandering around. Thematically it works, but not my favorite. But all in all, love Oathsworn. It was my game of the year 2 years ago, and I stand by that. Or maybe it was 3 years ago was my game of the year. I can't remember. Yeah, 3 years ago was my game of the year. So coming into number 3. Number 3 is a newcomer to the list, and that is Paracle, the Gathering Darkness. I did not realize that I was into games that use an app. I didn't realize that was something that I was excited about. But Paracle also uses a website where all the story is in there, and they're constantly kind of updating it behind the scenes. It manages all the stats and statuses for the bad guys, and this is another game with really good character leveling and creation. You can do whatever you want with the characters, and it's got an awesome magic system where you're actually using your own life force to cast spells, which I just love the way that works. It has a unique dice combat system. It's hard to explain, but it's very, very clever. I really enjoy the way that it works. I love everything about how this game works. And I've been just getting deeper and deeper into it. And as I'm moving forward, you're making these choices that have consequence. I was talking with somebody else on a Facebook group about what they're experiencing, and I'm like, I haven't done any of that stuff. I did something totally different, in a totally different way. And it's just really fun. I know some people kind of give a knock on the rule book and have a hard time with that. I didn't have that hard time. Maybe it just kind of clicked from my brain, but I also read that with the tutorials that they have kind of in the website for you to check out. I really enjoy it. There is an expansion. I think it's a standalone expansion coming soon. They actually allowed me to help them make one of the pre-gen characters, so I'm excited about that coming. Really, really enjoy Paracle a lot. And in fact, one of the things, if you are interested in Paracle, down in the description you will actually find a code to get 15% off an order if you are interested in getting Paracle yourself. The code is HUNGRY. Just go down, you can find a link to go get all of these games, and enter that code, you get 15% off. So, coming into my number 2, and then my number 1, these two have not changed. Actually, number 2 here, Dungeon Alliance, is the most Euro dungeon crawl you're ever going to find. People say Gloomhaven, I always say this every time, it's not. Those card flips, those are just dice. They're just dice that you can have a little more control over. Dungeon Alliance is a purely Euro adventure dungeon crawl. You're going in, you know exactly what's going to happen almost every single turn. There's like 2 bad guys that roll dice, and that's it. Everything, you see what is going on, and you get to puzzle it out. It is also the longest game that I have. Playing through a campaign is only 4 games if you have the adventure packs, but each of those games is probably like 2-3 hours, so it's long. It's intense. There's a lot going on, a lot of thinking, a lot of planning, but it's very, very clever, and it's one that it took a little while to grow on me, but as it has, I've really been enjoying it. And as I've said before, if you check down in the description, you will actually find a code, HUNGRY, which will get you a discount on their web store, though this one is going to be expiring by the end of September, and it will be good for all of the original content. It won't be good for the new expansion that they're kind of doing a pre-order for, but everything else, it will be good for that. And that brings us to number 1, which is, again, Tales from the Red Dragon Inn. I have been slowly playing through this with my occasional regular Dungeon Crawl group. We're just about to hit scenario 20. I think there's 25. And I wish, if I wasn't playing this with them and I didn't want to spoil it, I would have been all the way through this thing once, maybe twice by now. Wonderful. It is everything that I love thematically. It's fantasy, it's adventure, but it's light-hearted and fun and silly, and the characters are delightful. It has wonderful stories. Not as much story as you're going to get in Madara or in Oathsworn or even in Familiar Tales. It's a little bit, well, maybe it's about like Familiar Tales, but it has wonderful, wonderful story, and it's funny, it's entertaining, and the character growth is great. The way your characters level up, the way you can easily swap in and out characters every single scenario so you can always experience all of them is just everything that I enjoy. It's dice chucking, but there's so little feel-bad moments. And what I mean by that is they have everything put together to where if one thing sounds more fun, that's what they do. Even to the point where it says, oh, well, yeah, you're a hero, so yeah. If you can find any path within your range that will get to your target, you don't even need line of sight. Why? Because you're a hero. Sure, you can throw that dagger and bounce it off one wall, bounce it off the helmet of your friend, and get it around and hit the guy. Like, it's fun. It's just a fun thing to do. The abilities are silly and they're goofy, and it's great. It's just wonderful, and it's a pretty darn small box. So it's just fantastic. It is still absolutely my number 1 game. When I finish it through, maybe that will cause it to kind of start dropping down. I don't know. But currently, Tales from the Red Dragon Inn is absolutely still my number 1 dungeon crawl adventure game boss battler. So there you have it, folks. I put something up on YouTube kind of as a lark, and I said, if anybody was able to nail this top 10 list and predict it the same, then I'd have a prize for you. I don't know if anybody's done it, because I'm recording this, and I just posted that thing on my YouTube yesterday, and nobody at this moment has actually entered a list. So I don't know if anybody's done it. I don't know if anybody will do it. But if anybody got it right, 100% right, then I'm going to check before I post the video, I'm going to make sure you get something cool. One of these games on this list or something like that. I'll figure out if anybody gets it. But there you have it, folks. That is my top 10 Dungeon Crawl list revised 2025. I will see you in 2 more years. I'll be a little more gray. I will have some hard decisions. Maybe we'll see if those 3 games that I said were in theory in competition, see if they get on there, see if they disappear, see if anything else disappears. So, as always, I adore this genre. It's so much fun, and I hope you enjoy it too. And I hope you found a couple games that I've talked about that maybe are of interest to you. But there you have it, folks. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.